Round 2 of the Equilibrium tournament is going to be taking place on Roanoke Abyss, and for our game from this round, we've got Terror Squid versus Cabbage. I'm not sure what that name is all about, but we shall just call him Sir Cabbage. That is a UEF faction of choice for him. He is in the green color on the south side, and then on the north we have Terror Squid in a lovely crappy brown color as Cybran. So basically, this is going to play out in the Cybran player's favor in the mid game, and in the UEF player's favor in the long game, due to the massively effective battle cruisers that the UEF has at their disposal. The problem is getting to that T3 naval factory. So, Roanoke Abyss, the bane of all of our existence on the ladder. It is a very large map indeed, with a heavy emphasis on expansion because, oh, I did not even know that there was a moon over there in the skybox for Supreme Commander. That is a lovely little site there. Okay, so you've got these expansion islands that you must take, 8 mass extractors per island, plus a pretty good quantity of reclaim, and then you've also got many smaller islands holding 1 mass extractor apiece. Therefore, you need to abuse the early reclaim that you have on your island, getting as much tree reclaim as possible in order to boost up your power for that early air factory. You're going to want first land, because you need engineers to start spreading out, and then you're going to want to go transport as early as possible, because you have to drop the outside islands. It simply takes too long in order to walk over there, and things do not end well for you if you do not get your expansions. I promise you. So we've got NCU assisted by an engineer building out 7 power generators leading into the air factory on the north side. We've got a total of 7 power generators for Terror Squid, who is also assisted by an engineer, and will probably be placing down an air factory as soon as that is over. Mr. Rowie says you should pay attention to the ladder rank, really, rather than the global, as it is a 1 versus 1. True thing, but I did not have time to look at the ladder ranking before I launched this. Alright, so the reclaim is strong with Terror Squid, and it looks like we do have enough engineers out that we should be able to see some air lifted to the outside expansions. Cabbage is going to get to his air factory more quickly, though, although it looks like he's building engineers out of the air factory instead of a transport. That's going to be 1 engineer out. I guess he just really needed that thing for his build. Then we've got an air scout interceptor followed by a transport after that. So going for it a little bit late, but potentially airlocking his opponent if his opponent goes for that first transport. And he is using that engineer in his build. That might be a practice thing, but look at the mass. He might actually overflow before he's able to get this thing started. Oh my, it is getting awfully close, and there's the overflow. Sadness. On the other side of the map, we also have full bars all the way around. We've got an air scout headed across, but not an interceptor, and the transport is nearly out of the factory. So if we take a look at the larger expanse of the map, that air scout is going to be able to sight the transport before it is able to leave the island, and then bad things will probably happen to it during its journey. Looks like he's going to load up a full 6 engineers. That is probably headed over to the left, judging by the order. And there's the air scout following the transport, making sure that the targeting can be set without any difficulty whatsoever. Seeing the transport heading off to the left, this is an interesting choice right here. We have 6 engineers in Cabbage's transport as well, which is now queued. Nope, hold on. I'm looking at it backwards. That is the air scout queued all the way around this side. I was going to say it would be lovely to see half the engineers dropped on this island and half the engineers dropped on the other island, now knowing that that transport is over on the left-hand side. That would be a glorious thing indeed. Instead, we're going to see Terror Squid finishing off his ringing of the air factory with power generators and then going idle on the ACU. Taking a look at the eco, looks like we're stalled for about 11 mass per tick, struggling slightly as he starts to build his first set of land factories on the expansion island. Transport is being maneuvered as carefully as possible to try and delay the death But since there are 2 interceptors online chasing it, I think that its demise, yes, is assured. We did get engineers out to the other island, though. So we've got good expansion for Terror Squid. And he is far outstripping his opponent on mass income, 31 to 17, having already gotten 2 freaking T2 mass extractors. Holy smokes, that is going to be strong as long as he's able to hold his island from any initial frigate rush. But it doesn't look like frigates are anywhere to be had. This is going to be a problem, though. We did indeed have a situation where engineers were dropped to the opposing, oh my, 2 HP. 2 HP on the engineer. That transport dang near killed that son of a diddly. Theoretically speaking, Eagle could position an interceptor directly overhead on those engineers, control K it, and kill those NGs with the crash damage, but I don't think that he is going to be that try-hard. We also have a slight issue with T1 bombers over on the left, killing off the engineers in that expansion. T1 bubble anti-air is going to pop out of the factory and hopefully take care of that madness. Looks like Cabbage is going for 3 air factories with a mad T1 power generator spam. And then on the right-hand side, we've got engineers slowly but surely moving out to claim the rest of these mass extractors. Now, problem numero uno with dropping an outside island with only 2 engineers is that your opponent may drop 6 engineers, which will of course be able to build power much more quickly than you are able to, which will lead to a distinct loss of map control. I don't think there's much that he can do about that in the meantime, though. Over on the left, this expansion is still unclaimed, but a transport is now headed in that direction to remedy the matter. I don't think this is going to be a significant slowdown. We are going to have a tank out. We are going to lose a little bit of time due to having to kill off this other stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, Terror Squid is still doing quite well for himself. The map mass income has evened up, though. We've got 47 to 49, mostly thanks to the fact that 3 T2 mass extractors have come online in the home base. Cabbage is producing engineers at a furious rate out of that air factory. I am not entirely sure why he sees fit to assist in such a manner, seeing as he could just build another factory. But whatever floats your boat, man. I won't judge because you are a higher rank than I am, if only by 100 points. Looks like over on the left, he has forgotten to cue his engineers. Oh, there it is. I was about to judge him mightily for that, but we shall leave it alone. T1 interceptors fleeing the island in the face of anti-air fire, and that is going to finish the capping of the mass extractors over to the west. On the eastern portion of the map, there's a little bit more of a struggle going on, as there is a bomber in the area killing off some of the engineers that were trying to get this island under control. But since there are 3 land factories in place, I don't think that there is anything to worry about. That was a beautiful little bomb and turn there with that T1 bomber killing both engineers, ceasing the production of factories, and now there's Mantis in the base. So that's just going to serve to give Terror Squid a little bit of income from reclaim from all those green units that he is killing, and it will let him claim that island in short order. So another transport is out. It's going to drop all of these islands to try to get that mass under his control. I don't know that he intended to pause this engineer out on this island. It is not finishing building that flaming mass extractor on the outside edge. It'd be lovely to see that take place. Anytime you're not actively building a building, that's a weird way to say things, but English. Anytime you're not actively producing, your thingy is degrading. So that means there's going to be losing HP and will eventually disappear, as this mass extractor just did. So you do need to be careful of that if you're running out extensive build queues and relying on engineers following behind to actually finish the building. Then you need to be mindful of how much mass you're losing to that degradation over time. We've got a total of, let's see, 6 T2 mass extractors for Cabbage. That is going to outstrip the 4 on Terror Squid's side of the map and bring the eco imbalance to 67 to 83. And having finished off those T2 mass extractors, Cabbage has decided that it is time to jump into the Navy with a vengeance. That is a T2 factory upgrade, multiple T1 naval factories in place, and he is going to start trying to outproduce his opponent, who is also going for a T2 naval factory and producing frigates from a handful of factories. If you look at the amount of build power in place, it looks roughly even due to the extra engineers assisting that T2 factory. And the Salem is going to be the first one into production. Of course, the Salem does hold a 20 range advantage over the UEF destroyer. However, it does have lower DPS and a bit of an odd firing cycle that is somewhat easy to dodge for someone who is careful with the micro. On the other hand, Salem does have torps, UEF destroyer does not. So T2 subspam could potentially be a problem for the UEF player should he choose to go full destroyer spam. You do have to end up mixing a little bit on your UEF Navy. Hopefully, though, the UEF will be able to hold out because given enough time, the range advantage on Cybern is sufficient to lend them the upper hand in most T2 engagements, but definitely not all. Mass Extractor has gone down. Frigates have begun the raiding process, becoming a pain in the buttocks all over this map. That engineer is not dead, it has moved. But there is one cute. He just realized what he did, so he's pulling that engineer back to go and claim that ungotten Mass Extractor. T1 point defense helping out with the defense against a frigate. That is going to go down to the 2 opposing Cybern frigates in the end, saving the life of that Mass Extractor on the edge of the map. That's the thing about Roanoke Abyss. You're not able to have any truly safe Mass Extractors. Eventually, all of them will run into a problem. This is an interesting one right here, attempting a drop with 4 T1 engineers. Alas, it shall not be enough to secure a foothold on that island thanks to the tanks that made a speedy attack on that edge. But it is nice to see things like that taking place nonetheless. Alright, we've got a Salem, we've got a stealth ship, we've got several frigates in the water, and it would appear that Terror Squid is devoting much more of his economy into naval production than Cabbage is. We've got a decent eco balance-ish. A little bit of power stall, depending on exactly how much reclaim is taking place, but no need for T2 power as of yet. Still spamming away on the T1 power on the other side of the map. We've got Cabbage, who is 1 T2 factory, or 1 T2 power generator up, which means he's going to be able to start reclaiming his T1 power generators and recycling that mass into more and more lovely things. But his eco balance is looking a little bit more solid, as well as being near 20 income higher than his opponents. Let's take a count on the naval units, or actually air as well. That's going to be 55-ish on air. So 55 air, 1 destroyer, 27 frigates. And then if we swap over to Cabbage, that is going to be a mere 20 interceptors, 19 frigates, and 2 destroyers. So that means that Cabbage has sunk quite a bit of mass into his future income by capping off Mass Extractors, finishing out T2 on his home island. But that is going to put him severely behind in combat production. While in the meantime, Terror Squid is going for more map control, pumping out frigates and Salems, and hopefully doing well to secure greater portions of the map. Looks like T2 Mass Extractors on the home base have finished, although they are not capped, and we do have 1 T2 Mass Extractor on the outside island that is going to die to a frigate in the area. Amazing that the range on those frigates is actually sufficient to kill off that Mass Extractor. It must be just barely inside the range. Well, he's got a little bit of leeway, but nonetheless, that mech is going to go down. 2 destroyers plus a shield on the outside edge. This Salem is somewhat lost out in the great expanse of water without any support from his comrades at arms. It'd be nice to see this entire group pair with this group and squash that poking and prodding force coming in on the west, but I don't think that is going to be the case. Looks like the Salem is instead going to go for eco denial wiping out units on this island a little bit further south. Basically, these guys are just playing Ring Around the Rosie as they each lose islands to the other. Although, that is a lot of T2 mass on this island. If he's able to kill those off with the Salems, that is going to make a severe dent in Cabbage's economy, much more so than losing this island will make to Terror Squid, seeing as he had not gotten any mass extractor upgrades over there as of yet. And this is going to show off the difference in DPS between combat units and T2 mass extractors. T2 mechs do not do attacking very well, and they are quite helpless in the face of a T2 naval foe. Alright, you either need to back the hell up, or you need to focus fire that mechs and then leave completely. Because it would be a shame to lose a Salem to land forces. It's typically not a thing unless you're crossing the bridge in the middle of sentence. We've got T2 Air online that's going to be fielding torpedo bombers, which are not going to have much luck, versus a force guarded by a bulwark. 2 torps are in the air. Of course, as we saw from the numbers earlier, Terror Squid is more than likely going to hold a vast numerical advantage on air. Where is the T2 factory? Where is the T2 HQ? Ah, does Equilibrium not have support factories? Is that what's going on here? Nope, HQ. Hold on. Did he lose it? Oh, he lost it. That's what it was. The destroyers were able to kill off the T2 Air HQ on the outside island. That is an unfortunate event indeed, one that will set Terror Squid back. But you'll notice that they have evened up on mass income, 92 to 91 mass per tick, while on the south side, the loss of this navy is going to hurt quite a bit, mostly due to the fact that it will leave reclaim on that floor bed, seabed. My goodness, get your tongue untied, Brink. It'll leave mass on the seafloor that Green is able to reclaim and recycle into yet more navy. So we'll see how that goes. Oh my, this could end badly. This is a strike on the build power. These units heading directly for the main island. Cabbage is coming up in mass income once again as he reclaims his island. Of course, there are no units on the outside expansion for Terror Squid, so it will take him much longer indeed to bring that eco to bear. However, Cabbage is suffering from a power stall, reducing the effectiveness of his bulwark by a great degree. There are a couple of T1 naval factories there that can meat shield for the HQ as multiple Salems come in to rescue the beleaguered build power. That is going to be enough to eliminate this, but it will do a substantial amount of damage before it can be killed. That's going to be a shield gen down. Not a great loss, at least the power generators didn't go. It's lucky that Cabbage did not focus fire those, because he could have crippled the power generation for Terror Squid before he loses his base. It's going to be 1 destroyer down, multiple frigates taking lethal blows on that outside edge once again. That is going to give a pretty good reclaim advantage to Terror Squid, evening up the odds as each player drops mass on the other side. That was a failed attempt against the build power from Terror Squid as well, although the air win is strong with this one. He doesn't want to leave those air units on the other side too long, seeing as there is a group of T1 anti-air on the island itself, plus you got to contend with a frigate anti-air that is slowly but surely decimating the interceptor numbers on that side. Terror Squid doing badly at that. He had an overwhelming air advantage and he literally threw it away, I think due to not having enough APM to respond to everything at once. All right, that is going to leave Cabbage at 188. Oh, good Lord. 188 mass income versus 85 due to having killed many of the mass extractors on the home base as well. That may very well have been a lethal blow struck against Terror Squid. We'll have to see how this plays out, as the Navy still looks pretty decent for Terror. The question is whether or not he can hold out long enough to rebuild his economic capacity. But now there is another strike closing in On the right, let's see what the intel looks like. He does have a very small amount of radar on this island. He sees the naval units over there, but he does not have a sonar upgraded to any degree. So that is a T1 sonar. T2 I don't think would reach it even. You need the T3. T3 sonar is quite a cheap thing to build and maintain, so there's no reason not to. Salem is out of the factory. Now the full threat is revealed. 5 to 6 destroyers coupled with a pretty good quantity of frigates. That's going to be 14 and 7 as Brink neglects to count correctly versus 7 and 24. So if Terror Squid is able to move in on this, he could save his build power, but instead he is going to stand off and watch it wither away under the fire of the UEF Navy. That is not a good place to be in. Although at 93 mass per tick, it is possible that he determined, you know what? I don't have the mass to run that anyway, so I am just going to do what I want to do. Oh my, that is an ACU drop. How successful it will be, we shall have to wait and see. But he did lose all of his air, so this looks like a last-ditch attempt to snipe the enemy ACU, or at least to fall valiantly. Why are you not queuing all the way into the island? If you're going to make a gamble like this, go for broke. Alright, it's sitting still, it's waiting. It's caught off the edge of the map. Interceptors are up out in the front, but Terror Squid does not have the intel necessary to know that. In comes the commander, and that is going to not be optimal placement. Oh, he's going to try to build a stealth. What on earth is your plan, Terror? Attack snipe. It would appear that that is not on Cabbage's radar. Oh my. It's not going to work though, because that TAC missile launcher is going to be in range, in vision range of the destroyers moving out from this factory. If he would have built it slightly closer, he might have succeeded. Dang it, man. You should have built it there. Oh, you still had a chance. No, you don't. The ACU is too deep in the water. I was wondering what your plan was there. You know, if you would have just landed directly on the island, you might have stood a better chance. But at least attack missiles could be a major annoyance. Attack missile that one first, would you please? Okay, so that's built one and paused. It's built one and paused. That is also building one and will probably pause. As we see T2 torpedo bombers winging their way towards the north along with vast hordes of Navy. And we've got T3 air online from Cabbage. So that is definitely GG and a half for Terror Squid, unless he can get stupidly lucky with Cabbage just happening to walk out of his base. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That one's paused. Where are you launching to? That is going to be a launch at the... Was that a ground fire on the ACU? I think that was indeed a ground fire on the ACU, but again, the area of effect was not big enough to get that done. Alright, the ACU is walking out under the shield. Terror Squid taking point-blank volleys from 4 destroyers. And that, my friends, is GG. Okay, well, the analysis on that game. I think Terror Squid was doing remarkably well, but he suffered from a severe lack of intel. Had he had these things scouted, had he had sonar in the water, he probably would have realized that he had a sufficient number of Navy to not only counter, but I think prevail against Cabbage. But it was never in the right place at the right time. It was simply a sad case of getting outrated. He was able to do some damage versus Cabbage. He was able to get a little bit of stuff knocked out on the main island, but never enough to do the denting that Cabbage did to him by completely killing off the left island, forcing a new drop of engineers to even attempt a rebuild, and also crippling the main island in the process, knocking out build power, knocking out mass extractors around the outside edge, and especially killing this T2 Air HQ right there. That was probably one of the biggest losses that Terror Squid suffered. Anyway, GG, Cabbage moves on into the third winner's bracket, and Terror Squid is going to drop down to the losers. Well played from both sides. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.